Willys MB Jeep. The Willys MB entered production in 1941 after the United States Army solicited designs for a lightweight reconnaissance vehicle with all-wheel drive and payload capacity near a quarter-ton. Willys Overland and Ford both won contracts, with Ford building the near-identical GPW under license. Between 1941 and 1945, Willys produced roughly 360,000 MB units, and Ford contributed another 277,000 GPWs. The vehicle carried a four-cylinder Go Devil engine, displacing 134 cubic inches and producing 60 horsepower, paired with a 3-speed transmission and 2-speed transfer case. The 80-inch wheelbase supported a curb weight near 2,300 pounds. Jeeps served in every theater from North Africa to the Pacific, functioning as reconnaissance platforms, command vehicles, ambulances, and weapons carriers mounting everything from M1919 machine guns to M2 mortars. The design's simplicity meant field repairs rarely required specialized tools. The Jeep became synonymous with American mobility during the war and remains one of the most recognizable military vehicles ever produced. M4 Sherman. The M4 Sherman medium tank emerged from 1941 design work to replace the M3 Lee, standardized in October 1941, with production beginning in February 1942. Over 50,000 units rolled from 11 manufacturers through 1945, making it the most produced American tank in history. The Sherman carried a welded or cast hull with frontal armor ranging from 51 to 64 millimeters and a fully rotating turret mounting either a 75 millimeter M3 gun or later the 76 millimeter M1. Power came from various engines including the Continental R975 radial, Chrysler A57 multibank, or 4G AAV8, with the latter becoming standard in the M4A3 variant. Combat weight set around 30 to 33 tons depending on version. First seeing action at El Alamein in October 1942, Shermans fought across North Africa, Italy, France, and the Pacific. The tank faced criticism when engaging German Panthers and Tigers, leading to upgrades like the 76 millimeter gun and high-velocity suspension system. Specialized variants included the M4A3E2 jumbo assault tank with extra armor, Sherman Firefly with British 17-pounder gun, and numerous recovery, engineering, and flame variants. M3 Stewart. The M3 Stewart light tank entered service in March 1941 as an improved M2 with thicker armor and a new turret. American Car and Foundry, as well as other contractors, produced over 22,000 examples through 1943 when the M5 Stewart replaced it in production. The M3 carried a 37 millimeter M6 gun with 174 rounds and up to 5 Browning machine guns including coaxial, bow, and commander's mounts. A Continental W6707 cylinder radial aircraft engine produced 250 horsepower, driving the 12-ton tank to speeds near 36 miles per hour. British forces nicknamed it the Honey for its reliable handling and mechanical durability. The M3 saw first combat with the British 8th Army in North Africa during 1942, then served throughout the Pacific with Marine and Army units. Its 37 millimeter gun proved inadequate against medium tanks but excelled in reconnaissance, infantry support, and engaging lighter vehicles. Variants included command tanks, mine exploders, and the Satan flame tank. M26 Pershing. The M26 Pershing heavy tank descended from the T-20 series development that began in 1942, though production delays meant only 20 T-26 E3 prototypes reached Europe by January 1945. The tank was standardized as the M26 in March 1945, with full production beginning that same month. Approximately 2,200 units were built before production ended, with only a few hundred seeing combat before VE Day. The M26 mounted a 90 millimeter M3 gun with 70 rounds, paired with a coaxial Browning and a hull-mounted machine gun. A 4G AFV8 gasoline engine produced 500 horsepower, moving the 42-ton tank to 25 miles per hour maximum. Frontal armor measured 102 millimeters on the hull and 114 millimeters on the turret, with some areas reaching 160 millimeters. First combat action occurred in Germany during February 1945 with the 3rd and 9th Armored Divisions. The Pershing finally gave American crews a tank capable of engaging German Panthers and Tigers on more equal terms. The design formed the basis for the M46, M47, and M48 patent series that dominated Cold War armored forces. GMC CCKW. The GMC CCKW 2.5-ton 6x6 truck entered production in 1941 and became the logistical backbone of American and Allied forces. GMC produced over 560,000 units at Pontiac and St. Louis plants through 1945, with the designation indicating Chevrolet cab all-wheel drive, and dual rear axles. The CCKW came in two wheelbase variants, the 352 with short wheelbase and 353 with long wheelbase for different cargo configurations. A GMC six-cylinder engine produced 91 horsepower, driving the vehicle to 45 miles per hour with a 5,000-pound payload capacity. Early models used closed cabs, but July 1943 brought open military cabs to ease production and reduce shipping height. The CCKW served every theater hauling troops, ammunition, fuel, water, and supplies. The Red Ball Express supply route across France relied heavily on CCKW trucks to sustain advancing Allied armies. The design influenced the M35 series that succeeded it, and soldiers universally knew it as the Deuce and a Half, or Jimmy. DUKW. The DUKW amphibious truck originated from 1942 design work by Sparkman and Stevens yacht designers, partnering with General Motors. The designation derived from GMC nomenclature, indicating 1942 design year, utility amphibious, all-wheel drive, and dual rear axles, though troops simply called it the Duck. GMC built 21,147 units at Pontiac and Chevrolet facilities through 1945. The DUKW mounted a boat hull onto the GMC CCKW chassis, retaining the six-wheel drive configuration and adding a propeller for water propulsion. The same six-cylinder engine powering the CCKW produced 94 horsepower, achieving 6 miles per hour in water and 50 miles per hour on land. A central tire inflation system allowed drivers to adjust pressure from inside the cab, softening tires for beach sand and inflating for hard surfaces. Initial military rejection reversed after a prototype rescued 7 Coast Guardsmen from a grounded cutter during a storm off Provincetown, Massachusetts. First combat use came during the Sicily invasion in July 1943, then throughout Pacific Island campaigns and the Normandy landings. DUKWS excelled at ship-to-shore supply delivery, continuing inland where conventional amphibious craft stopped at beaches. M3 Halftrack. The M3 Halftrack emerged from 1940 development to provide armored mobility for infantry squads. International Harvester, White Motor Company, Autocar, and Diamond T produced approximately 41,000 units through 1944 across multiple variants. The vehicle combined a wheeled front axle with tracked rear suspension using vertical vollet spring bogies. A White 160AX six-cylinder engine produced 147 horsepower, moving the 9-ton vehicle to 45 miles per hour on roads. The open-topped armored hull provided protection against small arms and shell fragments with armor ranging from 6 to 13 millimeters. Armament typically included a pedestal-mounted 50 caliber M2, Browning heavy machine gun plus 230 caliber M1919 Brownings. The M3 entered service in 1941 and saw first combat in North Africa with American and British forces. Variants proliferated for specialized roles, including the M16 multiple gun motor carriage with quad 50 calibers for anti-aircraft defense, mortar carriers, gun motor carriages mounting various artillery pieces, and command vehicles. The Halftrack's mobility across rough terrain made it invaluable for mechanized infantry units throughout Europe and the Pacific. M10 Tank Destroyer. The M10 Tank Destroyer resulted from 1942 development to create a mobile anti-tank platform using the M4 Sherman chassis. Fisher Tank Arsenal and Ford Motor Company produced approximately 6,800 units between September 1942 and December 1943. The M10 mounted a 3-inch M7 gun in an open-topped pentagonal turret with 54 rounds of ammunition. The same Continental R975 radial engine from the Sherman produced 375 horsepower, driving the 29-ton vehicle to 30 miles per hour. Armor ranged from 12 to 57 millimeters with emphasis on mobility over protection following tank destroyer doctrine. The M10 entered combat in Tunisia during 1943 with both American and British forces, the latter naming it Wolverine. Its 3-inch gun effectively engaged German medium tanks at typical combat ranges, but struggled against late-war heavy armor. British forces converted many M10s to Sherman Fireflies by installing 17-pounder guns, creating the Achilles variant. The M10 served throughout the European and Italian campaigns in the tank destroyer role and as mobile artillery support. M18 Hellcat. The M18 Hellcat originated from 1942 requirements for a lightweight, high-speed tank destroyer emphasizing mobility over armor protection. Buick Motor Division produced 2,507 units between July 1943 and October 1944. The M18 mounted a 76mm M1A1 gun in an open-top turret with 45 rounds of ammunition. A Continental R975C4 9-cylinder radial engine produced 450 horsepower, making the 17-ton vehicle the fastest-tracked armored vehicle of the war, with speeds reaching 55 miles per hour on roads. Armor ranged from only 7 to 25 millimeters, relying on speed and maneuverability for survivability rather than thick protection. The Hellcat entered combat in Italy during March 1944 and served throughout the European campaign. Its high speed allowed rapid repositioning to engage enemy armor from advantageous positions, then relocate before retaliation. The 76mm gun effectively penetrated German medium tanks and could damage heavier vehicles with flank shots. Combat doctrine emphasized hit-and-run tactics, exploiting the vehicle's mobility advantage. LVT, the landing vehicle tracked family, originated from 1941 adaptation of Donald Roebling's civilian rescue vehicle for military amphibious operations. Multiple manufacturers, including Food Machinery Corporation, Borg-Warner, and Graham Page, produced over 18,000 units across various models through 1945. The LVT-1 Alligator entered service first, carrying a Continental W670 radial engine producing 250 horsepower that drove the vehicle through tracks, functioning as paddle wheels in water. Later variants included the armored LVT-A1 with a 37mm turret and LVT-4 with rear ramp for improved cargo handling. Water speed reached 7 miles per hour, while land speed approached 25 miles per hour. The LVT first saw combat during the Tarawa Assault in November 1943, where its ability to cross coral reefs proved essential. Subsequent Pacific operations at Saipan, Guam, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa relied heavily on LVTs to deliver troops and supplies directly onto beaches. Their tracked propulsion allowed operation in shallow water and over obstacles that stopped conventional landing craft. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and drop a comment. See you on the next one.